Hi, my angels and devils, and all who may wander here. It is Amanda Christina, and today I'd like to talk to you about the realities of dating an SSBBW. Now, it's all good and well to have fantasies about the type of woman you want or to be into something, but you have to realize there are some realities about dating someone my size, bigger, or sort of on the SSBBW spectrum that you don't necessarily think about. For example, when choosing a restaurant, it's really important to look for seats that do not have handles. Or if it's booth type tables, tables that move so that you can get in and move the table. Because, yeah, those kind of things can be really, really awkward. If you haven't thought about it and you book somewhere where the chairs have armrests, quite often, I know for me, my hips don't fit in the armrests. It can be things like if you're choosing an outing and that person, like for example, I know for me at the moment, my health has declined a lot in the last year or two. I'm working on getting that back. So I'm putting some things in place and I've been slowly working on chipping away at that again to get my stamina and stuff back. That's just been unfortunate illness after illness thing. Um, Things like making sure there are seats around. I know for me, I have wonky moments. Not every, and the thing is, not every SSBBW is the same. Like, I used to hate it when my ex would treat me like I was fragile, so I couldn't walk, like, from the car park to a restaurant, and he'd have to drop me off at the front door. And because that cut out walking that I could be doing because I don't get out a lot. um, I live in a small town, I don't drive, and I don't have a lot of spare cash, so that's just par for the course in that instance. So you have to really think about things like that. In your car, do you have a seatbelt extender? If you're someone who is exclusively into SSBBWs, you should really look at making sure you have a good seatbelt extender. If you're planning to travel with your partner, have you thought of making sure you have a plain seatbelt extender so they don't have to ask for one or more from the flight attendants, which can get a little embarrassing? Things like having heavy duty furniture. And it all sounds, I feel so embarrassed even talking about this, but like, seriously, if you have ever had to sit your butt on a chair that you're not sure will hold your weight, or you've ever broken a chair, both of which I have done in the past. I'm very careful where I sit more so than ever now. It's really, really important to make sure that if you're going to date someone who's an SSBBW, your furniture can handle it. It's just one of those practical realities is that, there is a certain amount of heaviness and you need furniture that can take the weight basically and isn't going to splinter or fall down. Like, you don't want plastic chairs or, yeah, having extra cushions. Is another one, like things like making sure that if you do have chairs that they're comfortable. Like, there is nothing worse than sitting on a chair where it has those little round bits and they dig into your thighs. It hurts like hell and it's really uncomfortable. Like, the other one for me, for some reason, I slip out of chairs a lot. Like at my niece's wedding, I just kept sliding out of the chair and had to keep standing up and putting myself back in the chair because I kept sliding down. There's lots of little things to consider. It's not to say that you shouldn't treat us like any other woman in the sense of with respect, with kindness, with courtesy, and there's nothing wrong with a little gentlemanly behavior, even if you're a hardcore feminist. There's still something very sexy about manners. I'll say there's something sexy about a guy in a suit, but and nerdy guys in like rocking the nerdy t-shirts. I kind of dig that too. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. I just thought I would do a video because honestly, I don't hear a lot of people talking about the reality versus the fantasy, and there are certain other things, but this is a PG channel, so we're not going to talk about the um, other things. There are some really great sites if you Google things. There are a lot of really good sites and good articles around. So there's also Dimensions Forums, which has a lot of info. There's a lot of places where you can get information. Oh gosh, I can't think of Dan's Tumblr at the moment, but there's a Tumblr account. I think it's called Ask a fat lover, or ask a guy who loves fat chicks or something like that, and he can be really, really helpful because he's got a lot of good advice from his years of dating and from being in relationships with SSBBWs and BBWs. It's just really something to think about. But also, I want you to consider about how you talk to an SSBBW or a BBW or even any woman. Talking about this, talking about my size, it's my everyday reality. It does nothing for me. It might turn you on, but it bores the bejeebus out of me. Like, honestly, another one is if you're going to have a conversation, like, even if you message me, messaging me hi is pretty much guaranteed to get you a kind of what the fuck do you want response without me saying that exact word. And I didn't mean to swear there. Sorry. What the fudge do you want? The reason being that, honestly, I love good conversation. Don't send me a message when I don't know who you are, and don't tell me who you are or and what made you message me, because I'm just going to look at that like, okay, you're just another one of those guys that just wants to waste my time and just wants to have a conversation with me. And yeah, and there's nothing wrong with good conversation. I love good conversation, meandering conversation where you talk about loads of different things and you both have passions and interests and are excited. And, you know, I love making new friends. I love meeting new people, but I hate, despise small talk. Don't send me hey, 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 hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? It just, I have no patience for it, and eventually I just won't respond because I can't. I just don't like to deal with that. Um, Let me think. Look at things like if you want to buy gifts, make sure you know her measurements if you are buying clothes or lingerie or having something made, because that's kind of important. And look, there are sneaky ways to do that if you don't want to outright ask, which is looking at her clothes, measuring them. You can just ask and say, hey, look, baby, I want to buy you something. Can I know your measurements so that I can get something that fits you properly? Or is there something you've had your eye on? You know, it's a really good idea to make sure to see if your partner has a wish list. Amazon's a great place to keep wish lists because it'll let you keep things from other sites. If you scroll down to the bottom of my page, I have a few Amazon wish lists, one for clothes, one for craft, one for Disney, and one for nerdy stuff. Just because it was easy for me to break it up in category, and I don't expect anyone to buy stuff off my wish list. If you want to buy me something, yay, I love Magic Mail and Happy Mail, but if you don't, that there's no pressure for that. I have that there because sometimes it's nice to look at what someone else likes, but also if you're an SSBBW or someone who has an SSBBW in your life, I have a lot of clothes on my pretties and dress ups list. So there's lots of things that might interest your partner that go up into my size range. So, and some of them go bigger than my size range. So it's really good to have things like that. Like, get your partner to make a wish list. That way you know what she likes or he likes. I mean, there are BHM and supersized big handsome men too. So, you know, this applies probably both ways when dating, whether you're binary, non-binary, gay, straight, transgender, transsexual, whatever you may be. This can apply depending on who you're dating. So it's really, really important. Don't make someone feel like the fat is the only reason you're interested in them. Get to know someone as a person. That is far, far more important, and it'll get you so much further than just being obsessed about size. Unless the person you're with is absolutely obsessed about their size and just wants to talk about that, that is just going to get you nowhere. I've had so many guys get offended when I say, you do realize this conversation is extremely boring to me, and they don't understand it. I live with the realities of being an SSBBW. I live with those realities every day, believe me. So having someone want to talk obsessively about me being an SSBW is Yawnsville. It's kind of like trying to talk sports, cars, engineering, things that I have, technology, like things that just are like, no. I try, and I will try and have a conversation on things that I don't necessarily grasp everything if I think that's something someone's passionate about. But I have very little patience for that these days. I know part of that is my mental health. I know part of that is just I'm 42 years old. I don't want to waste time in stupid, pointless conversations about hi or the weather or things like that. I want to talk. I want to live with passion. I want to have conversations that engage me and enrich me and that I can learn and grow from, and that hopefully the other person learns and grows from, and that kind of just meander from one point to another point. I'm a sapiosexual. I find intellect and good conversation, um, passion, just it's so sexy. And it's also so important. Like I miss that. I miss meandering conversations that just go for hours, from bouncing from one topic to another, where you start somewhere and end up somewhere completely different and have no idea how you got there. I was that girl at parties that would stay up having a deep and meaningful with one or two people while everyone else partied and drank, because that was more fun to me. So I'm that kind of weirdo that likes a real conversation, just so you know. um, yeah, real conversation is really important. Don't make it all about someone's size. Like, sure, you can be turned on by it, and it's okay to say that, just not in the first conversations, and not before you have a first date, really, like when you think about it. Yeah, I think it's really, really important. And I think it's things that you need to know. Treat us like you would treat a skinny chick who you're going out with. And I don't mean poorly or abusively. I don't mean emotionally manipulative. I don't mean any of the bad things. I mean, treat someone how you would like to be treated in a relationship. Here's the thing most people forget: if you treat your partner with love and respect, and you show them how worthwhile you think they are, and if they reciprocate that, that is the best relationship, because the energy builds, and it builds into something long lasting and something sustainable. Whereas if you're in a relationship for the wrong reasons, you're with someone who doesn't respect you, you have to respect yourself first. And I get called a bitch a lot. I get called a liar because apparently I'm not as sweet in real life as I am in my videos. You obviously haven't watched my rant videos. um, because I won't just roll over and take poor, shitty behavior. I have learnt the hard way not to. I've learnt that through two emotionally abusive relationships that tore away every strip of self-esteem and self-confidence I had. It took me a long time to rebuild that, and I still have my moments where they take their toll, to do with my intuition, to do with other things, and I won't put myself in that position again, not for anyone, because I know I am worth more, and I would rather spend a lifetime single than be in another emotionally or physically abusive relationship. I won't do it. And I know that I am worth more than that. And if you're watching this and you're a woman watching this, please know your worth. Please, please, please value yourself. Don't put yourself on the clearance rack. Don't think you have to bend over and do all these things just to keep someone. If someone expects you to be something you're not in order to stay in a relationship, then it's not the right relationship for you, and you're better off alone and happy, even though being single can be tough. I'm not gonna lie, being both things can be hard, both roads. Being in a relationship or being single can be really hard. Being single is tough because sometimes you just want someone to hold you. Sometimes you want someone to share the load with. Everything I do pretty much I do alone. Which is hard. Like I'm used to it. I've spent my whole life pretty much doing things on my own, on and off. Um, but it is hard. There are times when I'd like someone else to shoulder the burden, or to be able to help me in the times when I can't help myself because I'm too sick to, or other things are going on and I just can't function. I just can't even get myself out of bed because just my mental health has taken a dive, or my mental and physical health have clashed together to make it so that I can barely move. And I find ways through that, but it would be really nice to have someone just to hold you and let you know that you'll be okay. Um, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Sometimes it's good, because sometimes things happen and I'm like, I'm really, really glad I'm not in a relationship right now because that was gross, or I really, really need that downtime and I need someone who understands that I'm not always going to be up and chatty, or that I'm not always going to be quiet either. So I need, yeah, there's a lot. Like, I'm a lot to take on, and I know that, but I also know what I bring to the table, and I know that I'm worth it. So I really, really think, and I encourage you as a woman, before you jump into any relationships, get to know yourself really well, know who you are, because a relationship will challenge you in ways you didn't know. A relationship will force you to to know yourself in other ways. And not only force you to get to know yourself in other ways, but it'll force you to get to know yourself in ways that kind of you didn't expect. You'll learn unexpected things about yourself, and you may not like all of them. Don't lose yourself in a relationship. If you've got a really strong sense of self, and even if you do, sometimes it's very, very easy, especially when you're young, especially when you don't know any better or you're naive, to lose who you are in that relationship. I've had that happen, and the person's like, you're not the person I got into a relationship with. And I'm like, no, she kicked me to the curb enough and sort of pretty much bashed that out of me. You didn't like that person. So, even though that's who you fell in love with, it can be like that. It's really, really important to have a strong sense of self. So if you are going to date someone, especially someone who's an SSBBW, someone who may not have the greatest self-esteem in the world, and I'm not saying that all SSBBWs have bad self-esteem, I'm just saying that a lot of people do, because of the fact the world bashes us. The world is not made for us. Rides are not made for us. Restaurants are often not made for us. Cars, there's so many things where they don't necessarily make the world to fit with a larger person. And that happens for BBWs as well. So make sure you're going to treat them right, that you're going to help them flourish, because that's the best thing about a relationship, is that when you grow and you grow together, or that you see someone blossoming because of how you treat them, even in friendship, I think that is the most amazing miracle, to watch someone who maybe hasn't had the best self-esteem, who maybe doesn't see themselves as amazingly wonderful as you do, start to blossom because the people around them are showing them and reflecting at them who they see, and they start to become a better person and a stronger person because of it. And I think relationships can be the same. So make sure, this was just an off the cuff. I didn't sit down and think about what I was going to say. I just thought it would be really nice to do a video on dating an SSBBW and some of the realities, and also some of the reasons and things that you should do as a person. Like, if you're approaching me and say you sent me a message on Facebook or here, and you send me a well thought out message, I'm more likely to respond. I'm more likely to take my time and respond and actually give you something back that you can read, rather than a or a hi, or thanks, which is usually my way of saying, gee, that's a nice compliment, but I've heard it all before, and that's a nice line. Don't use lines. Be sincere. Gotta be sincere. Sorry, just had a bye-bye birdie moment there. Anyway, so I'm going to stop rambling because this is hedging up there in time. If you have made it all the way through this video, use the code polka dots. Just something completely random and different. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're having an incredible day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Remember, you matter. Bye.